Hello. Do you have a question? Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the World Junior Online number 5, everybody. Presented by the Implodians. I am Coach Brian Wilson, the coach of the Implodians. If you're interested in becoming an Implodian, you could inquire about those lessons at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com or contact us at ImplodianChess at Gmail. IMPLODIAN chess CHESS at Gmail. We are sponsored by the clothing line Wonderful. You can check out this top of the line clothing at bcwarts.com, bcwarts.com. And the games have started here. We started a little bit late today. We have 14 children playing in this tournament, 14 juniors, and I just wanted to give enough time for some juniors that might have been a little bit late, because this tournament is scheduled to end around 4 o'clock. These tournaments quicker than that, because after the last game of a round ends, we have 15-minute break in between rounds, and so the rounds could run quicker, and it usually ends around, I would say, 3 to 3:30. All right, let's get into the games. Oh, our first game we're looking at is a new player here. Miles Muffin has played in previous WJO tournaments before, and Miles Muffin has white, but Dumb 2020 AR EEWS EEEWS is brand new to the World Junior Online Tournament. Uh, uh, that player is black, and we see this fianchetto position here. I think it started as a Sicilian defense because of the move C5 was played. And when I look at a position like this, the first thing I look at is active pieces. The bishop on C4 is pretty bad because it's just aiming at its own pawn, compared to the bishop on G7, which would be the same color as his center pawns, but he's outside of the pawn chain. Black's bishop here. And white's bishop, this is white's good bishop that has pretty good freedom of movement. So here I believe black is okay. White does have a space advantage, so the pawn that white is protecting, that pawn is a very important pawn that gives white space. But I will say this, space is very effective from white's perspective. If white had more pieces, remember you have a space advantage, it gives your pieces more squares to move to. So the more pieces you have on the board, the better it is, because your opponent is going to struggle to get those great squares for their pieces. So you usually want to avoid exchanges, avoid trades if you have space advantage with your pawns. For instance, like he looked like he is trading right now which is against what I was talking about when you have a space advantage here. But black is okay in this position, and I would say this is pretty much equal, easily equal for black. As he plays rook e8, he's going to look to play e6, break down the space advantage here. Let's hop to another game. Now, if you guys are in the chat, feel free to chat. Hello, everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining us at the World Junior Online Chess Tournament. So any question that you have, please hit me up in the chat and ask that question. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, Implodian Chess YouTube channel. All right, let's go to another game here. Okay. Okay, I think maybe did we get all of the players here? Yeah, we did get all 14 players. And here, let's look at the Super Chester versus Tacky Element. This is Tacky Element's first time playing a World Junior Online tournament. Tacky Element is a Implodian, so that means he is a junior that uses Imbalance system of playing chess. And that's what we teach at Implodian Chess here. Tacky Element has the white pieces. And if we look at the position and the differences, the biggest difference that stands out to me is this bishop on c8 for black. It's having a hard time developing. For instance, you can't develop it via b7 because once b6 is played, you drop the knight on c6. So the bishop on, and then also the e6 pawn is in the bishop's way for getting a good spot. Also, I notice white has very good control over the center squares here, especially the e5 square, which makes this bishop even worse because you are not able to play e5. You can't play b6. There isn't going to be an open e file that you can occupy with rooks. This is a completely dominating position for black. Now, what black is going to want to do is try to trade off some pieces. Maybe queen to f6 could be something he could look at and try to get control over e5 if he can. But this already looks like a painful position for Super Chester. Now, Super Chester has played in many of the World Junior Online tournaments so far. I believe at one point Super Chester has gotten 3 second place finishes overall. Not just for his grade, but overall. And I believe Super Chester is in the K5 category. As we see a trade of bishop takes knight here, I don't really like that trade. Obviously, white is going to try to attack the weaknesses on c6, but then I think you did this kind of help black. But I still think that white has a pretty decent advantage. For instance, if we use the move knight to e5, attacking the c6 pawn. The weaknesses of the double pawns is that there's a weak square in front of the double pawn, and that weak square is a great square to put a knight. So if we first attack the pawn here with on c6, he is forced to protect it with bishop to d7 or bishop to b7. Then we swing the knight to d3, and then bring the knight to c5, and then the knight on c5 dominates the whole game. So that'll be a very good piece. The only thing I'm concerned about after knight e5 is to move bishop to b7. Because after we move knight to d3, there is a clever move bishop a6 now that will pin the knight to the rook. So he can't move too fast here. But I do see that he's going to play c5. So that might be something he just can't avoid by playing knight d3. Trading the knight for bishop. There's still going to be some pawn weaknesses here that white can target. So this case, I believe these are weak double pawns. But remember, kids, double pawns are not always bad. Double pawns are just different. The positive of having double pawns, it gives you extra open files on the side of that. If you got extra open files, use it. Use those open files. Don't cry because I have double pawns and it sounds bad. No, use those files. If they double the pawns in front of your king, for instance, a lot of times we see the f6 and f6 pawn doubled and the king seems weak. Hey, let's move the king over, put the rooks on that open file, aim at the other person's king down the G file, and you never know what might happen. It's all about using imbalances and using those differences to better your game. As we see the rook to d1, hey, is Tanoush playing chess or what? So I'm guessing that Tanoush actually, and I say Tanoush because I know Tacky Element personally, because he is a student of mine. But Tacky Element is playing rook d1, and looks like he's doing that to get his rook off of the f1 square, protecting his great space advantage on d4, and then his what he's trying to do is pull the knight to d3 and then play the knight to c5. And there's another strong move, c5 covering the b4 covering the c5 square even more. So it doesn't allow the pawn on. This is some really excellent play by white. Excellent play by white. And Super Chester, like I said, he is 3-time runner-up for the World Junior Online Championship. 3-time runner-up. And so he has his his work cut out for him. Super Chester does here with the black pieces. All right, let's go to another game. Then again, shout out to everybody in the chat that's watching us here at Implodians Presents World Junior Online Tournament. Ooh, okay. Let's check out Tim Teeth. Tim Teeth is a veteran of the WJO tournaments as well. He's won multiple trophies at these tournaments. I believe it's a total of 3 trophies for K5, I believe, that he's won, or even K3. He might even be K3. We look at this furry tuna who is new, and against 10th Teeth, who's the veteran. Funny Tuna has white, and when I look at white is completely winning here. White has this pass pawn out. One thing about a pass pawn, it's not always a good thing, but if it's an outside pass pawn, it's usually an advantage, especially if you have the rook behind the pawn, not in front of the pawn. For instance, if we took this rook and put this rook on a8, well, let's say not 8-8, let's say a5, it will be in front of the pawn and kind of hinder the pawn's advancement. And it'd be hard to coordinate the pawn and the rook together down the board. But if you have a pass pawn, remember the appropriate position for your rook is to be behind that pawn to push the pawn. And that's what white rook on a1 is ready-made to start pushing this pawn here. As 10th Teeth is taking his time. Now that's another thing that I want, hopefully any juniors will learn from this broadcast and the analysis that we have here is that when you're playing a 15-minute game, you should think for 15 seconds at least. When you're playing a 30-minute game, you should think for 30 seconds at least. If you're playing a 1-hour game, you should think for 1 minute at least. And if you're playing a game that is going to exceed the 2 hours, should never be a time where you would move before 2 minutes. So whatever the time control is, you play. If it's 15 minutes, you will play 15 seconds. 30 minutes, you will use at least 30 seconds. And I say at least, because that's how long it's going to take you to ask yourself, are there any checks if I make this move? That's how long it's going to take you to ask if are there any pieces unprotected. Can a piece be attacked more times than protected if I make this move? That's how long it's going to take for you to ask yourself, can a piece be attacked of greater value if I make this move? Now, once you ask those 3 questions and everything is a no, you don't see anything for your opponent to do to you, and you don't see any of those questions happening for you against your opponent, then you start to think about your plan, and that takes time. the person who thinks the longest is usually the best. So 10th Teeth, I like how 10th Teeth is using his time here, even though 10th Teeth is struggling. The one thing that could help 10th Teeth is White. If White continues to move faster, that could help 10th Teeth in the long run in this game. And also, there's something called the winning disease. You see, White has 2 extra pawns, so completely winning. But a lot of times when you have such a good position, players tend not to make the best moves anymore. And so when you're winning in a position, you haven't won, because this is chess. Checkmate wins the whole game, not who has more at the end of the game. When you're winning, you have to focus and buckle down and make sure you look at all your opponent's moves, because your opponent is trapped in the corner. So when you're trapped in the corner and desperate, you're going to find all the best moves on the board you can find, because you're high alert, because you know one move, you're done. So that same attitude is the attitude that you need to take if you're winning. What is the only move that he could find to make it annoying for me to convert my win? What is the only move that he could find to defend this position? And then you need to meet that person with the same energy. Because if you don't, you can catch the winning disease and go from winning to losing, because you have taken your focus off. So that's what 10 Teeth is hoping here, that Furry Tuna goes faster, he catches the winning disease. 10th Teeth is still playing, but it looks like Furry Tuna is not playing that. He's very alert, threatening Rook to B6, trading off the rooks, and this looks like an easy victory for Furry Tuna. All right, let's go to the bottom here. A Hill 2020-21 is playing Top Madhouse. Oh, we already have a victory by A Hill, so that game is over. Let me make sure I refresh. Gotta refresh here. There is currently 3 games left. Let's check on the top game again. This is with Black, Dumb 2020 against Miles Muffin with White. I thought this would be a position where it was pretty much equal, but this position is definitely not equal. It looks better for White here, and then here he's looking at a tactic, I guess. But does that tactic work? He sacrifices on E7, thinking that well, man, no, I guess it does work, because his plan is to go Queen F6 right now. I thought maybe now you go Queen F6 right now, the king is going to be forced to go to G8, and then you're going to get your rook back with rook takes E7. But you have to watch it here. There's going to be a couple checks here. I don't know if he can penetrate. Maybe not. But definitely winning for White. White is currently up a pawn. Probably going to be up more because the king's safety. But White's king's safety is not that great either. So this is going to be a position where both players are going to try to avoid a perpetual, or White is going to try to avoid perpetual check. Because White has the best of this game and is probably much better with the 2 versus 1. The only problem with White is that his king is unsafe. So White is going to have to make a lot of moves where he is checking Black's king, because it's possible that White's king could get checked continuously as well. So he might have to find a way to hide from the check some way with his king. I know, first of all, Black is going to be under some pressure as well. Oh, and I see what's happening here. So he takes the A4 pawn. After B takes A4, you have queen to B1 check, and you're going to be checking on ranks. You're going to be checking on the ranks and trying to gain a perpetual check. Now, this move H5 is very strong here by Miles Muffin, because his threat is just to play H6 and Queen G7 check. Mate. So this is gonna be and plenty of time left for this position where it's a queen and king in game here. Both players at the moment have the same amount of pawns. Now he played the move. Ooh, wow. I don't know if that was a good move though. I think maybe he's thinking he could play queen f6. Okay, got it. He's thinking he could play queen f6 after h6 because that h6 is not a check. So queen f6 does cover does cover the checkmating square. It does protect the d6 pawn. There's a far advanced pawn on b3. Looks like dumb 2020 has actually calculated this pretty well. Now, let me see if there is a perpetual check by white. There is a queen e6 check, and then he's done after king h8. There will be no more checks. Oh, I'm sorry. There is queen f6 check, so maybe not. There's a perpetual that I think he can have right now. He's got to find a perpetual, actually. He has to. So queen e6 check. King f8. If queen f6 check, you can only go king to g8 or king e8. If you go king e8, you lose the queen with queen h8 check, winning the queen here with the skewer. And so he's going to be forced to go to, if he goes to h8, it's just going to be queen to f6 again. And then king back to g8. And then you can go queen to e6. Now he can go king to g7, but then there is is that mate here? No, not mate. Queen f6 check, he forced back to g8. So this is going to be a perpetual check. I wonder if he's going to play the move h6 here. And maybe white is even thinking about trying for some type of victory. I don't think there's a victory. Oh, no, I'm sorry. There is a victory here. Oh, no, so there is a victory here, guys. Because after queen f6 check, he can't go king g8. So king to g7 was a big mistake, allowing the check on h6. That was a big mistake because now after queen f6, king e8, and then queen h8 wins the queen. Wins the queen. Wow. What a big blow. Ooh. He fell for the banana in the tailpipe there, and then king to d7, and then queen takes b8. Game is over. That was a big time move from dumb 2020. That was a big time move there. Let's go to another game here. Let's get back to what was the game here? This was Tacky Element versus Super Chester. We thought this game was going to be crucial. Now, in this game, we see black was actually able to get the bishop from c8 to all the way to h7 and control a way better diagonal. There is a big time pressure on e6. And here white chooses to take on a5 instead of using this b4 pawn to support the a4 pawn. I thought it would have been, oh, I'm sorry. He was threatening a5 here. He did take on a5. Now that is passed pawns here. So there is an a2 and a5 passed pawn here. Moves like queen a3 should pick up one of those pawns. So yeah, queen a3 should pick up one of those pawns because the a2 and a5 pawns are hanging. Even though they're passed, those pawns are not so great. So white did kind of mess up his own pawn structure just to take a pawn that was considered a free pawn. I don't see how he protects this pawn. Maybe he wants to distract the queen away from that area and to put some pressure on e6, maybe doubling the rooks. Then again, I thought he missed the opportunity to place this knight on c5. Imagine a knight on c5 here. Then it would be pressuring e6. It's on a spot where it can never be kicked off. It will also be ushering the passed pawn's protection as well. So he really missed the opportunity to put a knight on an outpost, guys. Remember when you have double pawns, the square in front of it is weak. that's a perfect square to put a knight. Um, a lot of times juniors sometimes are not as aware of minor pieces as they should be. Even though Super Chester did a great job of improving the bishop that he had on c8 and put it on h7, I think White did not do a good job of maximizing the knight. The knight doesn't have a future on e5 or g5. It would have to go backwards, maybe knight d2 to b3, which is probably worth it. And then come back to c5. That's probably worth it, guys. I might give up both of these pawns just to get a knight on c5. And I think I would do that. So I would go knight to d2 to b3 and put it on c5. As Super Chester is using the time, and it's a big time advantage to 8 minutes to 2 minutes and 36 seconds there. Let's go. I'm going to refresh this here. I don't know if that was the last game. It is the last game, guys. Last game here. So we're going to stay here. And wait, what has happened here? So Super Chester actually, whoa, 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 whoa. So looks like Tacky Element does do just that. See the move, rook to a1 protects a2, and then c5 was played. Now that makes sense to get rid of one of the double pawns. But here he goes knight to b3, and he takes with the queen here, and that's interesting to take that way instead of with the pawn. The pawn would have been better because the pawn, I believe, would anchor the c5 square for the knight. But take it with the queen, now c5 isn't controlled by White anymore. And also you give White moves like rook to d5 and rook to d8. I think queen takes d4 might have been a blunder, not taking with the pawn, because you're giving black tempos. I'm sorry, black with rook d5, c5, rook d8, all those tempos that you're giving White. He plays rook to a3 and then knight to c5. I'm wondering why rook a3 here. And then the move e6 is played. He plays queen to d5. That's a pretty quick move. I know he has a minute and 21. I would have had to think about this check first. Sometimes you don't want to use a check if it doesn't bring you anything. Sometimes you want to save that check, because a lot of times the execution of the check is more of a threat than you actually doing the check. Your opponent always have to think about a check, so when your opponent thinks about putting pieces on certain squares, that check can fork these pieces. It could open up an attack on the king, so your opponent has to calculate that constantly. So sometimes you want to save that check till a better threat happens. Now look at this. This is pinned. This is pinned, and I don't know how he gets out of this. It's pinned to the queen. There's no counterattack here. He's going to lose this knight here on c5. Wow, what a game by Super Chester to have a worse position. Improve Super Chester, improve Sasria Mishra, improved the position of the pieces, took the bishop from c8, put the bishop on h7, did exactly what Super Chester should do in that position. And there you go. Now Tacky Element is down a piece. The c4 pawn is going to fall. So attack element could actually resign here. Now attack element does have one thing, and that's this a5 pawn. So maybe too soon to resign. This a5 pawn is going to be pretty strong. Is it worth the bishop? Is it the same value as the bishop? It could be. This pawn is pretty far advanced. The square in front of the pawn is controlled by white. And white is going to have to organize some way to stop the pawn from advancing. You do have queen b4 or rook b4 hitting the queen. Right? I think rook b4 probably is the best. Now he could play a6 and sacrifice the queen, but I don't think that will actually work. Rook takes b7, a takes b7, rook b8, rook a8, and then like queen e8. So no, that doesn't work. So rook b8 looks like a decent move. And then maybe queen to c6. I'm not sure because of queen d6. No. Queen c6 maybe. Maybe queen c6 is a good move as well. You still control the square in front of the pawn. You're making sure that... Now, he played the move c6 because now you look at the queens are attacking each other. Now, I wonder what happens if he plays a6. What would happen here? So after a6, queen takes b7, a takes b7. He needs to control the square in front of the pawn, but I guess he could play rook b4. And after rook b4 and rook a8, what? Hold on. All right. Wait. What happened here? So what I was looking at is rook a8. How do you stop rook a8? Oh, after rook a8, I guess he can play bishop to bishop to g6. And then the pawn on b7 is going to fall. So that's what would happen. So this pawn on b7 is going to fall here. And that was Tacky Element's only hope for anything here. So might be playing the move. He can't play. He allows the capture of the pawn. So you're going to see probably rook 4 takes 7. b7. And after rook takes c6, you're going to see a trade of rooks here on b1. And Super Chester is just up a piece, so you're going to see trades of material now. To simplify the position, there is a bishop and a pawn extra for black. Hey, shout out Paulina Pedraza. We miss you. We miss you playing Marcel P007. Shout out to you, Paulina. Yes. We will be every Sunday. We're doing it every Sunday, and it's just for the kids. Even though we're gonna have an open tournament where we're gonna have a grandmaster. Those announcements will be coming up soon. You can go to Michigan Junior Chess Arena and register for all the future Sunday tournaments for Implodium Presents. World Junior number 6 will be this coming Sunday at the same time, same bat channel. As we see the finishing touches here by Super Chester, who's trying to get her first championship, WJL championship. She's finished in second place 3 times. And there you go. Checkmate is on the board. And so we have finished our first round. And the next round will start in about 14 minutes. I'm gonna give the shout outs now. Um, Miles Muffin, Furry Tuna. Shout out to Furry Tuna, first time. Actually, since it's Furry Tuna's first time, here we go. You are the bomb. Thank you for joining us, Furry Tuna. Your first time at the World Junior Online Tournament. Then we have Super Chester, and then Het J Patel. This is their first time here. Here's a bomb. Shout out to you and good luck in the tournament. Then we have a Roneknan. First time as well. Another bomb for you. And then Ahill 2020, Leon 1357, and Dumb 2020. First time at the WJO. And there's a bomb for you too. And then Tacky Element has been here many times. Shout out to 10th Teeth. That's my boy 10th Teeth. Strange Bolt. Drew. And Gogo Stello, Top Madhouse, and Samesh Racer. All of these are returning World Junior Online players. And in about 12 minutes, we will be starting our next round. See you soon. Okay, we are back. Welcome to the World Junior Online, presented by the Implodians. If you would like to be an Implodian, go to MichiganJuniorChessArena.com and inquire about the lessons. You can contact us at ImplodianChess at Gmail, ImplodianChess at Gmail if you want to become a Implodian. An Implodian is a kid that knows how to read the board. We teach how to read the board using imbalances. Also, check out our sponsor, Wonderful, at bcwarts.com, bcwarts.com. That is Wonderful clothing line. Check out the gear. Got to get that gear there at Wonderful. If you want to register for future tournaments, the whole January slate is available, and you can register for those tournaments. It's always on Sunday, starts at 12 p.m. and ends around 3:30, really, even though the description says 4 o'clock. All trophies will be sent month by month. That saves on shipping costs, guys, because it does cost a little bit to have those trophies shipped to so many different places. But that's what we do here at Implodians Presents a World Junior Online. You can check out those tournaments there at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com and register for those tournaments right there on the website. There's a pop-up as soon as you go on the website. The pop-up comes, boom, right in your face, and you can register for those tournaments. Now let's get to the games because the games are starting. And let's take a look. Our top game here is Miles Muffin versus Het J Patel. Het J Patel. And you guys, what's happening here? Oh, it was a sacrifice. He is giving up what happened in this opening here? Het J Patel is white, and you see this sacrifice here, and what is happening is white is just getting a space advantage after bishop takes d4. White is going to have this really nice pawn here on e4, maybe be able to attack the bishop with f4. So white is in a good position here. Actually, I think he can actually play f4 right now, which probably forces him to take the knight, and then there will be a bishop pair imbalance there. So he doesn't do that, but I wonder if he would try to go bishop takes c3 and knight takes e4. I would not try to do this move because the king is in the center. Black is going to fall behind big time in development. So he did not take the pawn here by trading off the bishop here and taking on e4. Black smartly just castles here. Now we'll say still the move e4 is looming, or f4 is looming. Bishop to g5 is a nice move. I can see h6 coming right away. He plays rook to rook to e8. And again, it's looks like black is still trying to target the e4 pawn. So now it's going to be forced here because if you play bishop to d6 after the move f4, there will be the move e5. But I guess you can get out of that. Maybe he's looking at bishop d6, e5, and then bishop to c5 check. King has to move away. But then you still have to deal with this pin of the bishop pinning the knight to the queen. So white is definitely much better in this position. Maybe he's going to play the move rook takes e4 here. I still do not trust this for black. This seems like a suspect pawn because even though black is going to have a material advantage by having one extra pawn, you can't claim that he has extra when the bishop is stuck on c8. And the time that it's going to take him to move that bishop out to a decent square, white is going to execute a vicious attack. So for instance, you see bishop to f3 could be the attack because the b7 pawn is starting to become pretty weak. Or you can try to do bishop d3 and try to operate on the h7 square there. So here he played the move queen to d3. Now this is very tricky here because you're going to have to move the rook. The only thing that protects the rook is the knight, and a simple removal of the defender is the threat. Bishop takes knight. Shout out to everybody in our chat at Imploding Chess YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, share, tell all your friends how dope our tournaments are, and to just come and participate, because we just have fun here. We give out trophies for the kids. We have them shipped to your home. I understand the first kids have received their trophies from December WJO tournaments. And guys, if you have those trophies, ask your parents if you can send us some pictures, because I would really love to post some pictures of you guys with those trophies on the website. Not only can you subscribe to the YouTube channel, but you guys can subscribe to be a subscriber on the website and get unique emails in your as a subscriber. I actually give free lessons and free videos that I use and I give to my subscribers from MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. So if you subscribe to that, you're gonna get some pretty decent videos and information. As we see, white is now using the bishop on the H1 A8 diagonal. I guess he sees that, hey, he can take on D5. He could take on D5 here. Maybe not bishop takes. Let me not say that. You can't take bishop takes, but you can go bishop takes knight and then go bishop takes here, or queen takes. I don't know if he wants to do that. But white, I like white's position. White has the pair of bishops. The knight is pinned to the queen. The bishop on c8 is not developed. There is two files that white can use that black cannot use. You can put pressure on the d5 pawn here. And there's also a b file where you can put pressure on the b7 pawn as well. So he plays c6 to solidify the center. So let's go to another game here. This is Miles Muffin as he trades here. He trades this here. Looks like just to double the pawns. Oh, whoa! That's a big blunder. Miles Muffin takes with the queen and allows rook takes e8. Oh wow, back rank checkmate. Oh, that hurts. That blunder really hurts there. And white wins a easy one there. Wow, and takes down Miles Muffin. We have 5 ongoing games now. Let's look at we already had a result with Super Chester. Has already completely, won. She's already run her game, Super Chester, and takes her to 2-0, going for her first WJO championship. Let's look at A Hill versus Furry Tuna. A Hill is a new Implodian and has had some pretty decent success in these tournaments, playing Furry Tuna, who is a new to the WJO. And when I'm looking at this position here, the knight looks stuck here. Knight does look stuck here. White's king is not in the best position, but this knight cannot get out here. So we can expect to move queen h4, just trying to defend the knight. Queen h4 looks like this is a move here that you might be able to save the knight here. The material is even, so there's queen h4. Now the question is, what do we do here? Do we Do we move the king away? Because this discovery, the threat is knight to d3, double check, hitting the king and the queen. So that's the threat. You can stop the check by playing rook to g3, but then queen takes h2 happens, and this doesn't look good at all for white. Your efforts to trap the knight has gotten worse after rook g3, queen takes h2. And you'll be able to save the knight. And it looks like the knight can come out anyway with h3. White might have to play, might have to give up the pawn and play king f3. Looks very too dangerous for sure. So maybe you have to go king d2. Maybe king d2 is the only way white can survive here. As we see, Furry Tuna has 12 minutes and A Heel 2021 has 10 minutes. So we'll come back to this game. Okay, let's go Dumb 2020 versus Leon 1357. Leon 1357 is trying to defend the Implodians in the WJO here. Both players have won a victory in the first round. I'm looking at the imbalances here. Looks like black is up a pawn, but white is up in development because the bishop on c8 hasn't been developed. The pawn on e6 prevents it from being a good piece. So Dum Dum was going for, or Leon was trying to trade queens, which makes it easier for the pieces. And also white does have the bishop here, so there's some imbalances here. White is making up for being down a pawn by having a development, so he has all of his pieces developed, and black still has a bishop stuck on c8. White also has the pair of bishops. This position is not really open. I guess you would say it's semi-open, but the bishops can become a factor in the game here. F6 move is a pretty good move. Now I wonder if he would go for trading the knight for the bishop here, even though that will give the rook on f1 an open file. So here he goes, knight to c6. His big threat here is the e5 move. But before that happens, you're going to get hit with the move bishop d3 maybe, or even b3, kicking this queen out of c4. As Dumb 2020 is using time here to think about this. Let's go to another game. Top Madhouse versus 10th Teeth is, oh, that is over. 10th Teeth wins that game. Gogo Stello versus Tacky Element. And this game is, Tacky Element has an outside pass pawn with black, but I think white should have enough to draw this game. Now, it's going to take a lot of technique. Now, the one thing that I learned about juniors when it comes to end games, that is something that they lack a lot of times. Not all the time, but a lot of time is the technique that they need to draw a game that they should draw, win an end game that they should win. So that this needs technique here. He should have grabbed the, now both players are moving way too fast here. There is a rook takes f2 that should probably be played. He's trying to hold on to this outside passer, but if he plays rook takes f2, he might be able to also gain the, okay, so now I see that he's trying to keep the pass pawn as much as he can. These two have played each other many times, where Gogo Stello has won 13.5 to Tacky Element's 9.5. As he goes back, and looks like white is just going to go back and forth trying to draw the game. And so let's come back to this game. This game is, oh, now he repeated this position already. So white can actually go king to c3 again. Oh, and his plan was to play rook to c. Got it. And then what? King to... Don't know if you want to do that. Maybe he goes king to c5. Rook c8 check. King to d4. Rook takes... You can't take this. You shouldn't take it. Rook check. And then the king actually enters into the other side of the board. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. I'm wondering if it's possible for him to actually... No, he can't push that because a rook to d8 would win the rook here. So he does go king to c5. Rook c8 is probably coming soon. And then is he going to actually play king to d4 and try to run to the queen side and take some of the pawns that's hanging on that side of the board with his king? Black's king is much more active here now. Oh, I do not understand this move. So now this rook is going to be free to attack along the fourth rank. So now we should be looking at rook f4 now. Or even rook to... That might be better to play rook to h4. Tacky element does check. And rook h4 looks like a good move for black. He just goes rook to... So what tacky element is doing is concentrating too much on this one single pawn. Guys, if you have a passed pawn, the passed pawn is usually used as a distraction while you go to the other side and win a couple pawns just for the price of that one passed pawn. And then you're going to have a passed pawn all the way on the other side of the board that cannot be defended. Here, this is a big giant blunder. He did not ask himself, are there any checks? Also, tacky element move under the 15-second time that he should think. He did not think for 15 seconds. The dangerous part is Gogo Stello is thinking for more than 15 seconds at this moment. So Gogo Stello, since he's thinking, he's going to find rook c8 check. He's going to find rook c8 check because look at his time that he's using. Oh, he misses it too. Oh, my goodness. Rook c8 check would have won the rook on c4. Man, that would have won the rook on c4. Man, what a big blunder by both players there. Tacky element making quick move. Would have lost the whole piece, but then Gogo Stello took a lot of time, but instead was so concerned about the pawns on the other side, didn't look at the check. First question you should ask yourself when you play chess, when you just look at some chess pieces, you should ask, are there any checks? When you go to sleep at night, you should ask, are there any checks? If your parents wake you up in the morning, you ask, are there any checks? And when you sit at the breakfast table and your parents ask you if you would like Raisin Bran, what are you going to say? Are there any checks? And that's what you want to do every time. Every time you look at some chess pieces. Every time you make a move, you want to ask yourself, if I make this move, are there any checks there? So now black is actually now becoming active. Finally played rook f4, threatening the f3 pawn with check. There's going to be some loose pawns here on h3. Black, I think, is much better here. Might even be winning this game because of the active king and the active rook. But that was all because Gogo Stello did not find the winning move, rook to c8. Shout out to everybody that's watching here on YouTube, Imploding Chess YouTube channel. Let's go to another game. This is the battle for World Junior Online #5 Championship. Let's make sure we refresh these games here. We got 3 games left. This is the Dumb 2020 game against Leon 1357. We see a pawn advantage for black. The pawn advantage is a backwards pawn here. So Leon 1357 has to be very careful as he plays the move King F7. You notice the bishop on A2 is putting pressure on the backwards pawn, plus the rook on E1. Black currently has 2 defenders of the pawn. There is a possibility that there could be a sacrifice here. A rook takes D7. If knight takes D7, you do have bishop takes E6, or even rook takes E6. Might even be better. That actually, because there you're threatening a discovery on the king with the rook and the bishop combination, and you're threatening, the rook is also threatening the unprotected knight on C6. So you really have to look at rook takes D7, knight takes D7, and then rook takes E6. Right there. He goes for doubling instead of rook takes D7, which I think would have been a winning move there. Rook takes D7. Leon 1357 now plays rook E8. Now it's too late for that sacrifice. White is trying to put as much pressure on the extra pawn. Now, the extra pawn here is a pass pawn. That is the extra pawn, and the pawn is currently a lot of pressure put on that pawn now. But I think Leon now is in a position to defend this pretty well. He's probably going to look at playing moves like, how about B4, kicking the knight back. And if A takes B4, then your knight is going to be on B4, where you're threatening the bishop on A2, taking away the pressure on E6, and you also will be threatening to go to D5 with the knight. But here instead he plays knight to D4. He's playing for tricks. Knight C2, fork, spoon, knife. That's what's happening on C2. White makes a quick move there, but under the 15-second time frame you're supposed to think, and gives up the exchange. Leon is now winning. As long as Leon doesn't get the winning disease. You do not want to catch the winning disease, because that disease, when you're winning, you're not focused. Looks like he's played rook E7. He's moving fast. Leon is moving fast. He might be coming down with the winning disease. He made that move in under 15 seconds. You have to be careful, guys, of that disease. And what that is when you're winning, you don't want to take focus off of the best moves and start moving fast because you feel like you're winning. Remember, checkmate wins the game, and not you having one more piece or more material than your opponent. As White plays G3, let's see how fast Leon is going to make this next move. He's taking his time here. Oh, he kind of made that move kind of fast, so I know he wants to play the move E5, but right now the bishop on A2 is stopping that from happening. Now, King G2 was a fast move on dumb 2020s, because now bishop C6 is just kicking. Now Leon was able to improve the bishop. King F2 would have been better, because now bishop C6 just helps him improve. Now you're going to have moves like, look at that, knight E4. Look at the strong outpost for that knight, backed up by the bishop here. Now after bishop takes, now you're going to have bishop D5. Leon is going to start trading pieces. Looks like Leon is finally getting it together. You see moves like bishop D5 now. And Leon should go on to easily win this game. But he's still making fast moves. But it looks like he's going to try to play rook to C2. And let's go to another game here. A-Hill versus Furry Tuna. Doesn't look good. Furry Tuna is up a queen here. And there's checkmate on A6. Queen A6 checkmate. Furry Tuna wins his second game against A-Hill 2020-21. Gogo Stello and Tacky Element still are playing. Tacky Element has an extra pawn. And look at that. Gogo Stello has has put himself in a drawn position. Wait, where are you going? Don't want to go away from this corner here. Now all white has to do is stay in the corner. If he stays in the corner, white will draw the game. Just do not come out of the corner. Guys, if you have to choose which pawn you're going to keep, you always want to choose a pawn that's not on the side of the board because of these situations. It's so easy to draw games when there's a rook pawn compared to if there's a pawn closer to the center. So if you have to choose a pawn to keep, you would like to choose a pawn that's not a rook pawn, so you can have opportunities to win the game if you have an extra pawn. And there's a stalemate. It was unavoidable, forced. And so white draws that game. Good defense by white. Good defense. All right, we're going to go back to Leon 1357. I believe this is the last game, as Dumb 2020 has only 3 minutes. Leon has 9:44. It's a rook versus a bishop. Then again, he's just sacrificed the bishop for the pawn on e6. I was gonna warn about the winning disease, but it looks like Dumb 2020 is just giving up here. If he's gonna just give up the bishop for the pawn, he could have resigned. But maybe he's hoping for some stalemate. Maybe that's something he's hoping for. We're probably gonna see the move rook c4 check, king a5, rook to a4 check, and then queen a pawn here on b4. He steps back here. Maybe rook takes f4. Nope. Leon is just going to march the pawns up the board. And rook c5 check. And then he's just marching the pawns up the board here. Pretty simple stuff. Check here. Maybe rook to, yep, there you go. Rook to b2. a2 will be coming. And then there will be a queen appearing on a1. So have to make sure there is a place that the king could go. King could go to e3 and also c4. So he gets another rook. Oh boy, he doesn't even get a queen. He gets a rook. So he's going to work on his rook checkmates, I guess. And we see rook to d1 check. Probably the move rook c2 check. Allows king takes b6. He doesn't take that. Maybe king c4. Okay, so now he's going to go, yep, so rook to c1. Next move is rook b2. He's going to start this all the way at the other end of the board. And this is a staircase checkmate here. We call it the staircase, knowing the staggered position of the rooks. Rook to, there you go, rook to b8. You can't go rook a7, so he's going to have to go all the way on the other side. King a7. And then rook to a1. There's a staircase checkmate. And that should end the second round. Okay. And it does. So, our top players here, still undefeated, is Het J. Patel, Furry Tuna, Super Chester, and Leon are our undefeated players today in today's tournament. And right behind them on the first page is Rona Khan, or Ronaknan, Miles Muffin, 10th Teeth, A-Hill, 2020-21, Strange Boat, and Tacky Element. We will be back in around 14 minutes. Take this intermission. See you soon. Yo, 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 we are back. I am Coach Ryan Wilson with Imploding. This is Imploding Presents Real Business Online. We are sponsored by a wonderful clothing line. You can find that clothing line on bcwarts.com, bcwarts.com. You can register for all future tournaments at michiganjuniorchessarena.com. The whole January, next Sunday, the next Sunday, the next Sunday. Register for all of them, all at one time. They're only $15. And trophies are mailed and shipped to your home, and you put a big smile on the children's face. Now, let's get to the games. This is round 3. Sorry, the round of applause is still going. As I said, you can register for all the tournaments at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. The whole January slate of tournaments, MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. Wonderful is our official sponsor. Check out their clothing at bcwarts.com, bcwarts.com. Go over there and get you a hoodie and a really nice shirt. They have a really nice diamond design. You got to check out the diamond design it's a design. It's a unique design. It's like some ribs, and there's a diamond heart inside the ribs. You got to check that out on wonderful bcwarts.com. Also, if you interested in becoming an Implodian, or your kid becoming an Implodian and getting chess lessons to learn our style, right? Our art of reading the board, contact us at implodianchess@gmail, IMPLODIAN chess@gmail, or you can be a subscriber and contact us at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. First time we're opening up these lessons to people around the world. We currently have 7 or 8 top 100 players that we have trained with using this system, top 100 in their age groups. So let's get to the games. All right. We have 2 undefeated players here. Het J. Patel versus Furry Tuna. Now, Het J. Patel has a quick rating of 1,034, 1,036 over the board rating. And this is a quick rating, I believe. Remember, this is United States Chess Federation rated tournament, but it's under the category online quick rating. Now, the imbalance that I see here, I see that Black does have the bishop here, but Black is struggling in development right now. Played f6 because we're scared of the move e5. And White has a space advantage and does easier development here. And then there's also double pawn imbalance here. There's 2 files for Black's rooks to use, only 1 for White's to use here, which is a D file. Black has more square control with these pawns, but the negative is that the pawn on c7 can't move, and if you move the b pawn anytime in the game, the c pawn is going to be weak. I like this move, rook e1. He's looking to open this position right away. Now, I don't know if I like that move right now. I think he could have tried to play queen to c4, stopping Black from castling. Excuse me. But instead, he goes knight takes e5 here. Now, if you castle, there is a possibility of going queen to c4. You might have to block with the knight on d5, and then the move knight to c3. I really don't like what Black did there, because Black played bishop takes. So now you can't castle because there is going to be a queen takes e7 move. So the king is going to be stuck in the center for a long time. White is using the development lead pretty well. Now let's go to another game. Break it down. Let's see. This is Leon 1357, another battle of the 2 undefeated. So the undefeated players are playing each other now in the 3rd round. There's 5 total rounds today. Looks like Super Chester's played like a French setup. Well, let's go and see. Oh, it was a C3 Sicilian. And look at this position. White. Now, I do not like that he allowed knight to b4, which allows a trade of knight for bishop. And there's another trade that's coming, so I believe that Super Chester has done a wonderful job of trading the pieces when you are cramped in a cramped position. And Black has traded a couple pieces, and we have a saying: pawn on e5, the castle king dies. This gives White an excellent chance to attack the castle king, but it's not as good without the bishop that would have been on d3. That bishop would have been dangerous on that diagonal, and Black is happy that he traded that bishop first before allowing this big giant space advantage. As we see a3, I do not believe that. Now I know he could play b4, but I think the pawn on d4, you don't want to weaken this pawn on d4 by moving the bishop, pushing the bishop to b6. There's a knight to b5 move. This knight can actually go to d6 too. Here he's placed queen to d3, protecting d4 a little bit more. He might be looking to attack h7 at the right time, maybe with knight to g5. That's exactly what you have to do. So I do like this move now more and more from Leon 1357. Pawn on e5, the castle king dies. He wants to play knight to g5, but look what Super Chester did. Super Chester realizes that he's down in space. He must act now by playing the move f6. He is attacking the e5 pawn and trying to get more space for his pieces. If you notice that his bishop is on e6, it can't really move. Here he takes on f6. And now, after rook takes f6, he plays bishop to g5 here. Now, this is a trick to this, because there is a move rook takes f3. And you get two pieces for the rook here. After queen takes f3, then you have queen takes g5. Now, he could try to play bishop takes d8 right now, but I think that would be losing for White. So he does go queen takes f3. Black does get the two pieces for the rook, and he does have the bishop pair too. Now, at the moment, there's a backward pawn imbalance here. So what White wants to do is control the square in front of the backward pawn, stop the pawn from moving, so you do not have to attack a target that's moving. And shout out to everybody that's watching in the YouTube channel, Imploding Your Chess YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. But the backward pawn, you want to control the square in front of the backward pawn. You would like to trade all those pieces that actually control that square if you're White. And if you do that, then the square in front of it is going to be yours forever. So that's what he wants to do here. Black is battling that because Black's bishop is has more things to do in this game than just to protect the pawn. But right now, it is a necessity for him to protect this. As we see the move rook to d1, protecting the strong d4 pawn. After rook to f8, I thought maybe he's trying to play e5, but he doesn't want to give up the d5 pawn here. And then probably the move queen to e2 should be coming here soon. Queen to e2. Goes queen to e3. So he goes for the trade here. Now, I don't agree with this trade here. Black definitely should trade the pieces here, because I believe that the two pieces are going to be better than the rook. All he has to do is kind of maneuver his king to like e7, protect, or d6, and then bring the bishop out into the game. But he chooses not to trade the queens. Probably going to see the move rook f to e1, or maybe even b4. No, don't want to play b4 actually, because of bishop b6. This pawn here on d4 is very weak here. Now I think it might become a problem after bishop to b6. Even if you played like rook to d1, the problem is he could play the move e5, and Super Chester is going to play e5 and unravel the bishop on d7. Super Chester, what I notice about Super Chester is being able to Make sure all after pawn takes d4 or bishop takes d4. He does go bishop takes d4. And now I'm starting to wonder, is it possible? You have to kind of take this bishop. Because if you move the queen away, then the bishop and the rook is going to be aiming at the f2 pawn. So Leon 1357 is going to have to sacrifice the exchange here just to survive. And at that point, it still would be a rook versus... Now, white would just be down a whole piece. Down a whole piece. Now, he could play a clever move is this move, knight to e7. He missed that move here. He could have played rook takes. Rook takes was something he could have played here. But I think he could have played knight e7, forking the queen and the king. And then after knight takes e7, then you take the bishop. And that would have saved you, I believe. Let's see here. So knight e7 check. If knight takes e7, then you go rook takes d4. Because if e takes d4, then you go queen takes e7. You should be okay after rook c8 or rook f7. Should be perfectly fine there. And in this position, you also attacking the unprotected bishop here. Maybe bishop to h3 could be a problem. I guess you could play g3. So I think that was the only hope for Leon, is to play knight e7 and force that tactic. But this is just completely losing now. He has to take this rook and bishop for the queen. And then, hey, what's next here? It's a rook and bishop for the queen here. Plus, black also has an extra pawn. But there is a nice knight on e6, so you have to watch all these knight hops. So I believe that Super Chester, judging on the way she's played in these tournaments, I believe bishop to e6, attacking the knight, just getting rid of this knight here once and for all, is probably the best move for her. But let's go to another game. Furry Tuna has already won that game, and Furry Tuna is now 3-0, undefeated there. Let's look at A-Hill versus Miles Muffin. Miles Muffin has a queen. This is an extra queen here. Queen versus a knight, looks like. But, there's a but. This king is not good. That king is not good at all. There is a discovery threat here. Probably it's best just to dodge and move back. But what? Did not dodge. But maybe there's nothing to actually take here. What if we reroute? I think maybe you could reroute. Or is there a way to get a perpetual check, actually? Maybe knight h4 check. King has to go to, I don't know, could go to g3. I would probably bring this bishop to a different diagonal. He also did, oh, but see, the problem is the king would take the knight. So there is... Now you can just play king h1. Maybe king h1 should be played by Miles. So Miles has some defense to play, but Miles should have enough to win this game, being up the queen. So next game, Gogo Stello. Let me refresh this here. Looks like Super Chester has won his game. Has won her game undefeated. Super Chester. Let's look at Samesh Racer versus Tacky Element. Tacky Element is completely winning this game. Looks like there's going to be a staircase checkmate here. That wins that game. We now have one ongoing game here, and that is the game with Miles Muffin and A Hill 2021. As we see the check here by Miles Muffin, but there is Bishop takes Rook here. That was a big mistake by A Hill, and now there's no coming back here. Probably going to see the move Queen to C8, which will pick up the B7 pawn with check. Might even see Miles sacrifice the queen for the knight. That makes it very simple. Just take the knight, give up your queen, but then you're going to have 2 rooks versus nothing. You always want to look for ways to simplify the game, juniors. Right? If Sarah had 2 pieces of cake and Jimmy had 1, and they both ate 1 piece of cake, how many pieces of cake would Sarah have? 1. How many pieces of cake would Jimmy have? 0. So you want to be the only one with cake left when you're playing chess. So if you trade pieces off at the end of the game, you're going to have a bishop and some pawns, and your opponent's going to have just some king and some pawns. That bishop is going to be able to eat some of those pawns. You're going to have some extra pawns to queen, and then have an easy victory. So looks like Miles is, or A Hill's threatening bishop to F3, but Miles Muffin doesn't care about this. Miles can actually take on H5, taking that bishop. But even if you forked Miles, A Hill forked Miles with bishop to F3, Miles will just take that because he has 2 rooks. So he doesn't really need the queen in order to win the game. He does take on H5. As we see H3 played here. Maybe he goes king H2, forcing the knight. The knight has nowhere to move here. Can't go to any squares. After king F1, we're probably going to see something like rook to C7 that cuts off the second rank. There it goes. And maybe queen F5. So he does resign here, and that finishes the 3rd round of the tournament. We only have 2 left that are undefeated, and that is Super Chester and Furry Tuna. Those are the only 2 undefeated players left. Will they play each other the next round? I believe so. That's going to be a big matchup, especially because Super Chester, she has gotten 3 second place finishes in the World Junior Online Tournament. She wants to be a champion in the World Junior Online, and so we'll see that matchup coming probably next round against Furry Tuna, who is brand new to the WJO. Then we have in 3rd place Het J Patel. In 3rd place, Miles Muffin in 4th, and Ronakinen in 5th place. Guys, we have no Implodians in the top 5. This is Implodian Presents, right? I'm going to be completely unbiased, but I'm just going to mention we don't have any Implodians in the top 5 in this tournament. We got to represent, guys. But they're coming up in 6th place is Implodian Leon 1357, Implodian Strange Boat, Implodian Tacky Heel, Implodian A Hill 2020-21, and then 10th Teeth are all on the first page. All right. The next round will start in about 13 minutes. Again, check out our sponsor, Wonderful. You can see that clothing. They got sweet hoodies, really nice logos, very unique. You've never seen a design like this. So you can check that clothing line, Wonderful, out, bcwarts.com. And also you can register for all of our tournaments for the whole month of January. You can register ahead, only $15 at michiganjuniorchessarena.com. And if you want to become an Implodian and get lessons from our team, and we have 7 top 100 players in their grade level that we teach our system to. And if you want to join that, you can contact us at implodianchess@gmail.com or go on michiganjuniorchessarena.com and contact us there. michiganjuniorchessarena.com. You can contact us there for lessons and becoming a implodian yourself. All right, we will be back in around 12 minutes. We are back here. World Junior Online number 5. Number 5 here. You can sign up for all the other World Junior Online tournaments at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. And also, check out the exclusive clothing at BCW Arts. That clothing line is called Wonderful. We're going to start this fourth round with a battle between our two top undefeated players. We got to get to that right away. And that is Super Chester, 3-time runner-up in the World Junior Online Series, looking for her first championship. And she's playing first-timer Furry Tuna. Now, Furry Tuna's over-the-board rating is 1,121. So 1,100 over-the-board rating. So far, 994 online quick rating for Furry Tuna. So got about 200 points, or about a little bit, maybe a little bit over 100 points difference in the rating. Super Chester is 874 in her regular rating, actually, but 1356 online. So a big difference, almost 500 points there difference between the over the board rating, regular rating, or over the board online or over the board quick rating compared to the online quick rating at 1356. So Super Chester has a big rating advantage in this tournament, being the highest rated player. Like I said before, she has finished second place 3 times, which is a good feat, but she wants that championship. She wants that championship here. She has the white pieces against the Furry Tuna, who's also undefeated. And we see like a collie setup here. And using these collie setups, we might see the move b3 and the bishop goes to b2. And sometimes we see the move c3 here, and the bishop has stayed there. But she did play b3. The bishop will be going to b2. And usually, if c5 is played, the bishop on b2 is going to come alive. So I don't know if c5 is the move now for Furry Tuna. But Super Chester has a really good setup with white, but so does black. Black has a fianchetto position with black here. Played c6 to solidify the d5 pawn, but what is the plan? What is the imbalance for both sides? There's no big imbalance. I would expect to gain an advantage in one area would be the move c4. And there, white would have these 2 nice pawns on c4 and d4 and control space. Also, there might be a way to create an imbalance with this move knight to g5. The bishop doesn't have many squares to move to. If the bishop goes to f5, you can take that there and try to use a double pawn strategy as white. As Super Chester plays c4, and this uses a space advantage here. And when you have a space advantage, what you want to do is you usually want to avoid trades, but you don't want to be in a rush. You want to make your space indestructible. You want to put rooks behind those pawns that you have there, because in order for black to free themselves, they need to find pawn breaks. For instance, b5 or c5 or e5, those pawn breaks, so they can break down the pawn center that you have formed. Now, once they break down that pawn center, your rook will be ready to go into the game by using it as an open file. So that's why you want to bring rooks behind those really nice pawns that give you a space advantage. And what a space advantage does is it cramps and restricts your opponent for the whole game for a long time. And you want to increase that cramping and restricting until your opponent makes a mistake. So it kind of forces your opponent to figure out things with the pieces, because the pieces just are not able to get good squares. For instance, like the bishop on e6, even though it's developed, it's pointing at its own pawn. The knight is kind of in its way. The knight on d7 cannot go to e5 or c5, so that piece isn't as great as, say, this knight that's on f3. So the space is just getting worse and worse for the pieces. Here he plays rook to c8, maybe because black wants to finally play c5, but then that doesn't make much sense to play c6 and then c5. That would be a waste of time. And now it's up to white to find a good move here. White might try to play the move e4. And even if the trades happen here, white will have a space advantage here without the d5 pawn being there and really control the center of the board. So e4 could be a play. Again, knight g5 is very interesting to me because you're threatening to take the bishop pair, which means you're trading a knight for the bishop. That means black will have the pair of bishops at that point. The bishop can't really move anywhere because after knight g5, bishop f5, you can take that, and then that might open up the king with this open g file here, which maybe black can defend that position. Bishop g4 would not work. After knight g5, bishop g4, then you have f3. And the bishop definitely cannot go to h5. I mean, he can. You play g4 and win the bishop for a couple pawns. So Super Chester plays e4, controlling the center of the board with e4 here, and I don't believe black wants to allow the move e5. Now you're forcing this knight to e8 or to the rim here, and neither one of these squares are good squares for black's pieces. So, and then again, if you take here, now you're giving up the best pawn that you have on d5. This is the struggle of going against a space advantage. As we see d takes e4 played by black, we should expect the move knight takes e4 here. And of course, if knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, and you might have some pressure on d4. That's what black is hoping, that there's a good enough pressure on d4. I'm of the opinion that white can hold this pawn pretty well, and white is just much better in this position. So Super Chester doing an excellent job in the opening and now in the middle game using the space imbalance. Space imbalance. Black must find pawn breaks here, whether it's going to be e5 to attack the space or c5. You have to figure out something to get rid of this space advantage. Or another thing that you can do is, if you cannot get rid of the space, you can trade pieces. Now notice what black did here. Black, a lot of times when you have a space advantage, just wait. Your opponent's going to make a serious blunder soon. All you do is be patient. Maybe white should have played knight to g5, actually. So if we go back to that position, white moved in less than 15 seconds. That's not a good thing. Knight g5 was very interesting. First of all, you're just threatening to take the bishop and fork the queen and the rook. But where does the bishop go? If the bishop goes to e6, you can still go knight takes f7, rook takes f7, and move the bishop back. But where does the bishop go? So knight g5 would have been a move I would have looked at, but Super Chester moved very fast in that position. So after knight f6, we still see the pieces are getting in each other's way a little bit. Now maybe the knight is going to go to e4, hoping for some trades. Rook e1, excellent move, hitting the bishop on e6. There's a weak pawn on e7 as well. Might be able to see the move bishop to a3, putting pressure on that weak pawn, or even knight to g5. This is now starting to look winning for Super Chester. This is starting to look like a winning position here. You have bishop to a3. You have queen e2 hitting the e7 pawn. You got knight e5. What a strong knight in the center of the board here. You have knight to g5, threatening to take the pair of bishops by trading knight for bishop here. He goes queen to e2. Now, if rook to e8, you still got knight e5 or knight to g5 here. I might look, I mean, it's hard to decide, but I think I like the move knight to, This knight on e5 is a very good piece. That's a very good piece. But the knight on g5 here, which threatens e6 and f7, that's a very good square too. You can even just relax and just play the move rook a to d1. That's also possible. Just putting the rook behind the best thing that you have on the board, and that's your space advantage. Don't forget, the reason white is where they are here in this position is because they have a space advantage. Wow, so this is excellent play by Super Chester. Going for her first championship here. She looks good already. We'll come back to that game. Let's go down here. Right behind Super Chester and Fairy Tune is Miles Muffin, who had a disappointing loss in the second round, but is hoping to be able to come back and play for the championship somehow. Might need some help there. Miles Muffin might need help. Top Madhouse. Oh wow. Okay, so Miles Muffin has already won the his fourth round game. And so let's go to Leon versus Het J Patel. We see, man, this imbalance here looks like Leon is up or down material. Down a whole piece. Leon is thinking right now 1142. Look at the bad king on c7. The rooks are not coordinated. This is completely winning for white here. There's no bishop takes h2 here. This is just completely winning. And after queen e7, you can really just trade all the pieces off because white is up not only a piece, but up 2 pawns too. So a piece and 2 pawns. How did this happen? So it was a French defense here. And there was a lot of, looks like a big development lead. B6 looks like a terrible move to play in this position. Black chooses to keep the king in the center. And that looked like a bad decision there. Never a good idea to keep your king in the center if the position can be opened up. Now, if the center pawns are locked and stuck, and they're not easily able to be traded, then keeping the king in the center is okay. Don't have to castle in that situation. But you have to make the correct judgment. Are those pawns able to be blasted open so my opponent can come through and just debo me? And that's what happened to Leon. He got deboed because his king was in the center. Let's go to another game. There is a big delay, actually. So I know, Mr. Caribbean Breeze, there is a delay on the channel. And it's actually a pretty significant delay. And the delay might be almost about 2 minutes. So even though some kids might be watching the broadcast, the delay is pretty significant. Okay, just to let you guys know. Actually, I believe it might be even longer than that. It could be about a 3 to 5 minute delay, but you'll hear this in 5 minutes. All right. Let's go to some other games. Let's see. All right, let's go back to our top game here. Got to go back here. See what's happening here. We notice Super Chester at this point here against Fairy Tuna. We see that there was a knight established on e5. Um, so Furry Tuna is thinking about taking on e5 here. I thought maybe c5 would have been a option to play right here in this position. Just attacking the space a little bit more with c5. Can't take on c5, of course, because, well, I guess you could take, but that would definitely put a lot of pressure on this file. It did take here, and I wonder if rook takes is going to be the move. And Super Chester has achieved something, though, so now there is a pair of the bishop pair imbalance that's on the board. Super Chester is looking to see whether he should take with the rook here or the pawn. I definitely believe rook would be better just because there's a backwards e7 pawn there. So you can see that we can play the move, let's say queen to e3. Probably have to deal with this knight first, but queen e3 puts pressure on the e7 pawn, or just a simple rook to e1. And keep continuing that pressure on the e7 pawn. Also stops the move c5 too with the rook on e5. c5 is a typical break that you need when you are attacking the space. And so black needs to find these breaks to attack the space. He can't play e5, that's out. He can play only c5 or b5 to get rid of these pawns, or he's just gonna wait and he's gonna get squoze. It's like a constricting snake. It's gonna get worse and worse, the position, because of these pawns covering all the key squares and not allowing black's pieces to get good squares. Black has done an okay job by trading a pair of pieces off, because remember, when you're cramped, your pieces, you would like to trade those pieces so you don't have cramped pieces anymore. But your opponent is not gonna want to allow you to do that. So right now we see maybe knight g4 is the threat. So maybe it's the perfect time to play a luft move, h3. Also gives your king a way out in case there's any back rank problems here. I don't know if c5 is not a threat yet. b5 is a move that could be played, but I guess that can be taken as well. So no pawn breaks yet from black. Could there be a sacrifice by black here on knight e4? I don't think so. That's just a free pawn there for no reason, no compensation. Knight g4 is a threat. But I guess I can just move my... Oh, knight g4 actually now is a really big threat, because from here, if you move the rook away, then queen takes h2 is a problem. So you do want to stop knight g4. Super Chester is taking her time, a lot of time on the clock, like she should. So is Furry Tuna. So both these players, it's a reason why they're doing such a good job. Now, I don't know if I like how she played this. h3 would have been a useful move to play anyway, and also prevents knight g4. Now knight g4 is going to happen. So after knight g4 hitting the rook, you would have to find the move. Now I wonder if you could actually play the move rook to... because if you move the rook, the queen is unprotected. So you have to play a move like rook to e4. Your queen is threatening... This, I don't know. This makes it harder for Super Chester. Excuse me. After knight g4, rook to e4. Mr. Caribbean Breeze. Yes, there is a big delay. There is a big delay. The reason how I know is you answered this a long time after I said it. And I'm also watching the video live on YouTube with you guys. So there's a big giant delay between what I say 5 minutes ago and what's going on live. And so Mr. Caribbean Breeze won't hear this until, let's say, 2:30, 2:40. So when you hear me say, Mr. Caribbean Breeze, when you hear me say it's not a delay, I want you to respond when you hear that, and then we'll mark the time. Mr. Caribbean Breeze, can you hear me? You can't hear me because it hasn't happened yet. It's like Back to the Future. But when you can hear me talk about there is no delay, now comment on the YouTube chat and we'll see what time it is to know how much the delay, how much of a delay it is currently. All right. Furry Tuna is thinking a whole bunch here. Knight G4. You have to try this move, Knight G4. Now, oh, I will say this though. There is a tactic here, isn't it? And it's a really nice tactic. Did she really? This is a nice tactic. Knight G4 actually doesn't work. You would lose the F5 pawn. So after Knight G4, she's actually threatening to play Rook takes F5. Not Rook E4. Rook takes F5 is the threat by White. So this is very sneaky here, because the queen is not protected. But I think though, if you would just play now E6 was played, and that move was still, you could take Rook takes F5. It still didn't stop Rook takes F5, even though this E6 move shuts this bishop down forever. Now that this bishop is in prison, Rook takes F5 attacks the queen on C7. But Black could have played the move Rook D7 there, protecting the queen, but still having the same threat of Knight to G4. So now with Super Chester, this is some pretty good chess that's being played here. We're still waiting on Mr. Caribbean Breeze to hear what I said 5 minutes ago. Boom, there it goes. What a move. You got it, Mr. Caribbean Breeze. Okay, all right. So I wanted to gauge the delay, Mr. Caribbean Breeze. So that means, let's see, what was the delay? When I said that, it was about 5 minutes. It was about 5 minutes because you responded at 2:38. So, yeah, if they waited 5 minutes to get one move from me every time, they would lose on time. Okay, so, but thank you. You making sure you're making sure that everything's on the up and up, bro. So I appreciate that. And make sure you guys share these videos and like the video if you like it. If you think the commentary is not good, hey, let me know in the chat. What's up? I'm Poco. Thank you. I'm glad you liked the tournament. This is for the kids here. These kids will be receiving trophies. Some of the top kids. We only have 14 kids this time. So it's not as many in each section as it should be. So it won't be as many trophies going out because of the size of this tournament. Usually we average around 26 kids a tournament, right? I mean, yeah, Mr. Caribbean, that's how chess is done now. You see live tournaments that is you know on YouTube, online. Yes, in a 15-minute game, I think it'd be hard for them to wait 5 minutes every time to get a great move from me. That would be a hard thing for them to do. In an hour tournament, that might be a different story. If it was 2 hours, yes, they could go online and wait for that commentary. That maybe that's possible. Uh, First of all, first, second, and third is going to get prizes instead of the K-12 section because there's not. I don't think we have any K-12 players, and K-8. I don't think we have. Actually, I don't think we even have K-8. So those and I have to check that again. Who we don't have many K-8. I know that, and definitely not many K-12. But instead of K-12, there's going to be first, second, and third. Since it's only 14 players, um, I would say we should give out about at least 6 trophies, at least, or 7 trophies since it's 14, 7 trophies. First, second, and third overall for sure. And then you got to have the top third grader, top fifth grader at least, and depending on how many eighth graders we have, if we have any, do the top eighth grader too. But we're gonna post all that in the emails for all the players. So the players register the emails that will be sent to them after this tournament is done will show all the trophies that will be going out. Okay, so this is a rare week that we have just 14. Usually we have more than that, but as the tournaments are, as more and more we're doing these tournaments regular, the more new people that we have coming in. So it was 4 new players in this tournament today. Oh, no problem, Mr. Caribbean. All in fun, man. Thanks for the help because we want fair play, of course. We want fair play. Uh, and in this tournament, we're operating on the honor system because I haven't had an incident yet with any improper play as far as the zoom cameras. We want to do the honor system until something like that happens. If we do, we're going to have to use a zoom camera to make sure that that doesn't happen. But just to let everybody know, there's algorithms and engines that follow these games. And if those things come up flagged, Lichess will actually ban your IP address. No, you couldn't sign on to Lichess from anything from that IP address in your home that you use. And when I first started doing these chess tournaments, I actually had a couple kids actually use engine assistance and get banned for that. And so that's why I put up those warnings in the description for the World Junior Online that if that happens, remember it's a severe punishment because you just won't be able to use this ever again. Also, this is a rated tournament too, so if that happens, then that player will be erased from the rating docket to United States Chess Federation, and no one will lose rating points for that game. Their rating points will be refunded to them. Lichess will actually even let you know that you have lost to someone using improper play. So, but that's not going to happen with us. We are chess lovers here playing on these Sundays, and so these kids want to get better. They want to be better and not look better. So that's the difference between these kids that are playing in the World Junior Online. These are chess loving kids here. So I don't believe they will dare do anything improper, like grab moves from me because of the broadcast. These children want to become better. They have dreams of becoming some masters or grandmasters even. So I have faith in their honor. So shout out to everybody in the chat, being very active. I really appreciate that. Do we have any parents in the chat? Any parents in the chat? shout out to all the parents that are looking out for the kids and making sure the kids are sharpening their chess skills. As we see, Super Chester is running down in time to 3 minutes. Furry Tuna has a minute and 41. We're watching the two undefeated players play each other here. That's why we're on this game. Look at Super Chester. Bishop pair. Opening the position for the bishops. Excuse me. But Furry Tuna is trying his best to defend this position. Trying to reroute the knight back to a better square. I don't know where. Maybe knight to c7 could happen. Could happen. Look like we're going to be looking at some massive trades on d5. But that could only help White's position with the pair of bishops. And Super Chester is using the extra time to think. Because you should be, if you're up in time, the worst thing you could do is try to run the opponent's time out by making a fast move yourself. I hear kids say, they're thinking on my time, I don't want them to have much time to think. But then when you make a quick move, you're making it easier for them to find a response to that quick move because it involved no thought. Super Chester, the reason why knight e8 was played because there was a threat of bishop f6 with the skewer of the two rooks. So a very nice tactic. How does Super Chester proceed here? What about the move? Check this out. What if we did play the move d6 here? If d6, what does he take with? If he takes with the rook, there's bishop to b4, skewer the two rooks. If you take with the knight, then there's bishop f6, skewer the two rooks. So instead, Super Chester takes on e6 here, trades that d5 pawn off, and now it's Furry Tuna. We're getting down to DEFCON levels of time. A minute left. This is the most exciting part of chess. Even though we have a 5-second increment added on to each move, still it's going to be a lot of pressure on the players. As bishop takes e6, the threat is bishop takes g4 with the skewer of the two rooks here. Maybe the move is probably rook e. No, yeah, he does play rook e1. Does play rook e1. Now I'm wondering if we could take. Is it possible? Could we take on g4 anyway? So after bishop takes g4, if rook takes e7, there is bishop takes f3. Furry Tuna is thinking 57 seconds. Impoko, yeah, I know. I am torn between that. Yeah, I am a Twitch streamer too. So yes. But I think that because I do want, I don't know, Impoko, if you're a parent or not, but I do want parents to watch as we see, look at the move here. Bishop skewers the two rooks. Skewers the two rooks here. Oh, maybe, wow. What does he do here? Okay, so he allows bishop takes d6 here. So Furry Tuna is going to go down material. But yeah, Twitch is something that, hey, you know what? Maybe I will do a week on Twitch or a stream on Twitch just to see. Parents tend to be more friendly to YouTube because I want parents to watch our streams. But maybe I will do a Twitch and stream this on Twitch. Maybe. Maybe. All right, so knight to g7. So there is a material advantage for Super Chester. Look at the time. Things are going to start flying. Moves are going to start flying here. This c5 move looks like it's going to win. No, maybe not. I was going to say it's going to win the two pieces for the rook. But no, if you just play He played rook d8. If you take my bishop, he's going to take yours with rook takes d3. He protects g4. She protects g4 with h3. And then maybe we could play, I don't know, bishop to d5. Oh, h5 is played here. This is not a bad move. Because if g takes h5, no, actually, if g takes h5, I don't see knight takes h5. You're gonna have to play g takes here, so never mind. Let me take that back. Bishop takes g6. This totally crushes black's position. But still, the time is such a factor here. 5-second increment every time you move, you gain 5 seconds. All right. Thank you. Rook to e7. Very, very interesting here. Black goes for a trade here. So now you have a knight and bishop versus a rook and bishop. There is a hanging b7 pawn. White is going to try to find... probably going to get hit with rook to f7 check. Then you have to bring the king back to g8. And then probably can just take on a2 as well. This is just losing for Super Chester, but it's still about time. It's still about time. I hear you, Mr. Caribbean Breeze. Actually, there's a setting on the broadcast where it's set to a certain delay. It doesn't change, but it's set to a certain delay when you broadcast. And we see the knight and bishop, but white is just has passed pawns here. But white has to watch out. You don't want to catch the winning disease because white is winning. With that time on the clock, anything could happen here. Knight to e6. Maybe to move a4 here. There it goes. Rook a8, king e7. 8 seconds for Super Chester. Super Chester is taking a lot of time here. If Furry Tuna has anything to be happy about, it's that. Probably have to take this here. This is, what do you take with? That's the key. Okay, it's going to take with the knight. King comes up. This is going to be close here. This is going to be close. Oh, where is he going? Yeesh. That's the wrong way. Oh, man. The big threat is a rook check and then a queen. Here it comes, rook check. Oh no, 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 that was wrong. The queen would have came there with a rook check. Oh, but white says you forgot about this pawn. A different pawn comes on the board now. You're gonna have to move your king over here as well. And here comes the king. Oh, knight takes here, and this looks like this might be a draw, guys. With the time, this could actually be a draw. Now, you can't take this pawn here because you would lose the knight. King, so he protects the pawn. Wow, look at this. Wow. Furry Tuna is defending with everything he has. Wow. And now this is just you're gonna win a pawn here. Now I will say this. This is with the correct technique. Black should be able to draw this position. There are certain positions where it's a rook and knight versus a king and rook where white can win. But it's not in this type of position here. But both players have to be careful because it's hard to have good technique when there's not much time on the board. Should have stayed closer to the center, though. You got to stay close to the center. So now black steps away. So I thought maybe you could play the move rook to e6. That way you can grab this side of the board to cut the king off by using the attack on the knight to establish the rook on the file. Maybe king to, there you go, king to f5. Now you're going to have this. Okay, so should have probably played rook to a7. Now he put his king in the corner. He's consistently going to the corner, and that's a no-no. There's a check here. King to h8 is going to be forced here. Wow. Probably knight to g8 check is coming. King to f7, knight to... Okay, goes that way. Thought that would have been... But okay, now king f7. And there's a checkmate on h8. And there it goes. The king is in the corner, guys. Black took the king in the corner, and now it's over. Rook h1 check, knight h6, and then rook takes h6, and there it's over. Wow, what a game here. Super Chester almost messes everything up, but even during time trouble was able to compose herself and come up with the checkmate there. That was definitely the game of the tournament there between two of our leaders. Good game by both sides. Super Chester versus Furry Tuna. Let's go back to, I believe that was the last game. We are going into the last round. The last round here. The game looks like we might get Het Patel next round versus Super Chester. It looks like that's going to be the last chance for someone to stop the undefeated streak of Super Chester. Um, so Super Chester is number one here. 4 wins, no losses so far. Het J Patel is number two. Then we have Furry Tuna, Miles Muffin, Ronaknan, Dumb 2020, AREEEWS, Leon 15 Leon 1357, 10th Teeth, Strange Bolt, and Tacky Element on the first page. All right. We will be back in around 13 minutes for the last round of the World Junior Online number 5. See you soon. we are going into the last round of the World Junior Online Tournament. Remember, guys, check out the wonderful clothing line. You can look at that on bcwarts.com. You can purchase those items on bcwarts.com, our official sponsor. Wonderful. Also, if you want to register for future chess tournaments and also lessons and become an Implodian, you go to michiganjuniorchessarena.com, michiganjuniorchessarena.com. We have a whole January slate of tournaments that you can register for now. At any time in any future tournament, you can register for that right now. And we are a little bit away from the top games. If we look at the standings here, Super Chester is still number one. She has won 4 games, no losses yet. And we have a big 4-way tie at 3. Now we used the modern median tiebreak, and then the next one is just want to make sure you guys know the tiebreak. Now the tiebreaks that you see here on the lead chess is not the ones that we're using, because this is a rated USCF tournament. But modified median is the first tiebreak, and then we use Solkoff tiebreak, and then the cumulative tiebreak. Those are the default tiebreak system for United States Chess Federation tournaments. So there you have the tiebreaks here. So the standings that will be sent to you in your email, all the players, you will see the standings and the tiebreaks there. Do not pay attention to the tiebreaks on Lead Chess, because the tiebreaks here are a little different from USCF tiebreaks that we are using for this tournament. But of course, if someone has 4 and someone else has 3, that's clear. All right. Let's go to... Oh, so now it is Super Chester playing Miles Muffin here. And Miles Muffin, who had a blunder in the second round, is now playing for in the championship game here. Or Miles Muffin is tied for actually, as far as the USCF tiebreaks, actually Miles Muffin is actually second place. Let me just make sure you guys know that. Miles Muffin is second place, even though Lead Chess shows Miles Muffin, I think, in third place. But Miles Muffin is actually in second place because Miles Muffin has the best USCF modified median tiebreak. So if Miles Muffin wins this, is Miles Muffin going to be the champion? It is pretty possible. Let's go back to those standings. Oh, that's possible here. They will be tied with 4. I would say yes. Miles Muffin could win that, but it's going to be a big question there. Excuse me. All right, so let's go back to that game here. Super Chester versus Miles Muffin. Miles Muffin has white, and this is a Khan Sicilian. Let's see how this start off here. This looks like a Taimanov Sicilian, but the move Bishop B4 instead of Queen C7 makes it a little different. But I do like the Sicilian, this position for Super Chester. Okay, so Castle was played by Miles Muffin, allowing knight takes e4 after bishop takes e3. So black can get a pawn at the expense of the pair of bishops and development, actually. So you thinking bishop takes e3, b takes e3, and knight takes e4. Will Super Chester go for this material? Nope. Instead plays the move h6. When I see a position like this, I am looking. Oh, knight takes c6 is exactly what I was thinking, because then there's the move e5 here, attacking the knight. And where does that knight go? I guess you could go knight d5, so maybe knight d5 is okay. I was looking at e5 and then queen to g4, hitting the pawn on g7. White has a development advantage here. White does play that. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get back to our live. Okay. All right. Let's break this down. What happened here? So there was e5 here and a trade on c3 and then queen g4. Miles Muffin is trying everything that he can to ruin Super Chester's championship attempt. How about queen takes g7 now? Queen takes g7 now. Looks like a strong move. Could play. Nope. Definitely queen takes g7. There could be e takes d6 after knight takes d6. There was queen g7, rook f8, and then rook d1. With the pin of the knight to the queen. That looks like a good move too. And after e takes d6, there is queen takes g7. Oh, he actually goes, and that makes a lot of sense. So that was a good move by Super Chester, which shows that queen takes g7 was probably a better move to make immediately. But still, you probably should play queen takes g7 anyway, rook g8, and then the move queen h6. And this doesn't look good for Super Chester. Doesn't look good for Super Chester here. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Thank you for watching us here at the Implodian Chess YouTube channel. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel. Someone asked me if I would do it on Twitch. I think I'm gonna, just because you guys suggested that, maybe I'll do that at least 1 week. So I do have a Twitch account. I stream on there sometimes. That Twitch account is Implodian. It's called Implodian, actually. Well, how would you say it? Implodian at Twitch. If you just go there and search Implodian, you will see the our YouTube channel there, or our Twitch channel. I'm sorry, Twitch. As we see, queen to g7. Super Chester is deciding whether rook g8 or rook h7 is the best. Rook G8 gives up the H6 pawn. Maybe Super Chester doesn't want to give up that pawn here, but Rook H7 allows Queen to, let's say, Queen D6 maybe. Yeah, Queen D6. So after Queen G3 protects D6, and if Knight G4, you have Queen to D3, which pins the knight to the rook. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Even better, after knight to E4, you just win the rook with Queen G8 check. So there's no knight to E4. So this position, I think it would have been better for Super Chester maybe to give up the H6 pawn instead of playing this position here. So I think Miles Muffin is completely winning this game. Now, what does Black have to do to unravel? Black's king is stuck in the center. At any minute, you could see the move D7 as a sacrifice, opening up the center for the rooks. There's the move bishop to A3, solidifying this D6 pawn here. Queen A5 is answered with bishop to B4. Look like Super Chester is trying to repeat the position now. Then we see the move rook to B1. Strong move by Miles Muffin. Completely taking away the rook's access to the B8 square. Knight E4 still will be answered with Queen G7, so that's not good. Super Chester is in a tough spot here. Now, Super Chester has defended her position many times, especially with this bishop on C8. This bishop on C8 is bad again. There's go Rook G8 there. And Queen F3. Now, this is a strong move because Queen cannot take on D6 because the knight on F6 will be hanging. Queen is also attacking the pawn on C6. And then also threatening the pawn on H6. Super Chester is in some trouble with the king in the center here. I'm sorry, Anish. Anish, you said the chessboard is too small. You might want to enlarge your screen here. I don't know if I could. I'll try to increase the chessboard. Let me try, Anish. I'll try to enlarge this chessboard here. Let's see. I think let's do it. Let's bring it larger. Okay. And here we go. Anish, you ask and I will provide. There's a bigger chessboard. I think that is big enough, right? Yes, yes. I am using Streamlabs OBS for sure. All right, good, good, good. it a little bit. Okay. All right, we are watching the top two players here, the undefeated Super Chester versus Miles Muffin. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate your activity in the chat. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat. I know Niece was like, "Hey, I'm squinting, man. The board is too small." Now, this imbalance is a development imbalance here. Now, right now, I think black, it's all about white proving how white is going to crash in. I do believe this is a winning position for white. But white has to win the game here. And white is now have more than 2 times the time as Super Chester coming up. Super Chester's down to 6 minutes and 30 seconds here against 11:35. That's going to be a big disadvantage. Miles is tightening up this position of development with rookie one, putting the rook on the same file as the king. Other rook is on the b file. The patience of Miles Muffin is really impressive here in this position. Queen a5 is a move I thought could be played. But what happens if I play queen takes f6 here? That doesn't look like that, that looks like that doesn't look like a good decision. Looks like a blunder there. Just to let everybody know, there is a big delay. Things that you hear me say doesn't quite match the game. There is about a 3 to 4 minute delay. So white does go queen takes f6. The problem is there's checkmate on e7. Oh man, I feel bad for Super Chester. She was trying to win a championship. Oh, and she allows the checkmate. What happened here? She just didn't look at the checkmate. And wow, Miles Muffin wins that game against Super Chester. Oh man, and that's gonna shake everything up. Does that put Miles Muffin in first place? It's gonna be a tie at the top of the standings now. That was an excellent game by Miles Muffin with the white pieces, by the way. It's a very instructional game, how to use a development advantage. All right, let's go back to our tournament here. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. Wow. So, wait a minute. All the games are complete. All the games are complete here, and I will say, guys, this. First of all, we do not, when we're looking at the standings here, because we see that Super Chester, it says Het J Patel and Super Chester #2, and then Miles Muffin #3. We do not know that's the case. There is a 4-way tie, and it goes by modern modern or modified median is the first tiebreak per USCF standard guidelines, guys. So this is not. We do not know that Het J Patel is the champion. Okay. Just putting in the chat. And I might have to calculate that to claim a champion right now. I'm going to claim a champion right now by calculating the tie breaks first. Okay, guys? So I can let you guys know who the champion is. Because the games are over. First, let me call out everyone that participated. It's a 4-way tie, and I'm going to let you guys know who the champion is. Hetch J. Patel, Super Chester, Miles Muffin, Furry Tuna, Ronakanon, Leon 1357, Dumb 2020, 10th Teeth, Strange Bolts, A Heel 2021, Gogo Stello, Tacky Element, Top Madhouse, and Sumesh Racer. Thank you for playing at the World Junior Online number 5. Trophy positions will be sent to you in an email after this. But before you go, I am not going to go anywhere until we claim a champion. So I am going to calculate this champion in an intermission and be right back with that champ announcement. Okay, guys, this is the. I have to give Lee Chess some credit. I believe they are using modified median as well. So it's correct. It's correct here. Lee Chess. Het J Patel is the champion. Het J Patel is the champion. Um, yes, is the champion. According to tie breaks, Het J Patel is the champion of the World Junior Online number 5. Super Chester is number 2 again. I'm sorry, Sasria. Oh, so sorry, Sasria Mishra. You're second place again. Oh wow. I mean, that's 4. That's actually a really excellent result that you get second place, but this is the 4th time she has gotten second place. And then Miles Muffin wins the tiebreak for 3rd place. Miles Muffin wins the tiebreak. It was very, very close, but Miles Muffin does win the tiebreak for 3rd place. Now, there's going to be trophies according to grade level too. Who's the top K3, K5, and if we have any K8 or K12, we will give a trophy for that. We won't give as many as we advertise because there's not as many people for all those trophies, and because there wasn't enough for individual sections this time. But there will be trophies handed out according to your grade level, and look in your email for that to come. Especially check your spam, because some of you guys might get the email pushed to the spam. Some get the email pushed to their regular mail. So it all depends on the email client that you have. So, but there you go. Congratulations, Het J Patel. You are the World Junior Online number 5 champion. Now, also, we do check the games to make sure there's fair play, so it's going to take about a day. I don't think there was no improper play here. So the tournament rating, make sure you check that that rating cross table. Might be rated even today. So, but if everything holds up, which I believe it will, this is the standings that we're going to have, and that means Het J Patel is the World Junior Online number 5 champion. And so that's the end of it, guys. And I appreciate you guys participating. Everybody on YouTube, a shout out to you who are in the chat. I really enjoyed doing this for you. And until next Sunday, remember, we have a whole slate of tournaments this month. And next Sunday, we'll be back for the WJO number 6. Shout out to our sponsor, Wonderful products sold at bcwarts.com. Shout out to that. And, of course, you can register for those tournaments and lessons if you want lessons and become an Implodian yourself. Implodian Presents gives you that option at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. And that is the end of our show for today in our tournament. Congratulations to Het J Patel is our champion today. And I am Coach Brian Wilson. And until next time, Implodian out.